Let's play with my chess game that I built on Python, but then I use English to prompt the Python code. Um, this is gonna play at. I don't think the ELO is accurate, but let's play my favorite perk defense and see what happens. Yeah, let's play a bit of defensive game. And let's attack. It's pretty quick. He's giving away the queen for free. Take it. So you could see that the game actually plays pretty well. I mean, it made a couple of strategic and pretty heinous errors, but other than that, I mean, I found that the logic was not too bad. I mean, the I caught many of the simple sort of strategic error type stuff. I bake it in to the logic, and you see how I kind of built around it. So let's go. The end. So I managed to checkmate the computer at this point. All right, so let's go look at the code. How I created the code. I first started by creating this text here, this prompt here, that I want to create a chess game, and these are the features that I want, blah, blah, blah. So these was already a learning from a series of trial and error that I did earlier, but I consolidated the prompt in this way. But the game didn't quite play at all because the AI doesn't play when I ask Jules to code using this prompt, and whatever that comes out at the end of it didn't really work. So it fixed some of the problems, and then I got it to look at the issues a little bit because it still didn't really play at all at this point. And the game that came out was something like this. Let me just show you. Yeah. And again, I wasn't very happy with that. So there was plenty of errors. So I gave it a feedback that says this error, and that the AI engine still doesn't move the chess game, the notation doesn't work, the status doesn't really, it needs to show. I asked for this additional stuff as well. And it keeps apologizing to me, which I really hate. Not sure why it kept apologizing, but it did. And so anyway, so I keep giving it feedback every time I run the code, and as I was giving it feedback, user testing, I asked for more functionality, and I also asked to refactor and put all the requirement in one place. So that's what it did. It sort of consolidated all the new requests into one place, and then I add some more functionality. I asked for pieces that were taken to be displayed next to the board, that the mouse icon change the pieces being held when you're moving. And I give the feedback that the game just doesn't really work, not yet, and that I want this functionality to be added to the requirement. So it's add the functionality to the list, and it started to implement. And at this point, it refactor, it tells him what it has done, bug fixes, and I said there's still error, and blah blah blah. I cut out all the errors on the screen and gave it that feedback. And again, it apologized, which I really dislike, and I think they need to get rid of this. Maybe I should tell him that stop apologizing. Anyway, and it gives me a bunch of new fixes, And then I said, what command do I need to run on the terminal? Because I switched from visual editor to the command to try to run it. And so it gave me some instruction to run it on running the code and to install the library. And I asked about setting environment. I didn't quite understand what virtual environment was at this point. But then it gave me some instruction about virtual environment and how to create, how to run it once, and then, and so on and so forth. So it gives me a window command, which wasn't really needed because I was running on my Mac. I said much better, but the board doesn't refresh after AI. So now, at this point, the AI engine has moved, but the board didn't refresh. In other words, in memory, the piece has moved, but visually it hasn't. So, and then the second feedback I gave was it needs to, implement opening moves in separate file, because I wanted to get opening moves to be sort of in a database somewhere. So, I kind of asked for that. So it refactored the opening book, created a bunch of opening books. It looks something like this. And it has starting position, but it has got King Pawns opening. It has got some E4, E5, Ruy Lopez, Italian games, Sicilian, Caro-Kann, French, Queen's Pawn, and some, Queen's opening stuff, Indian defense, English C4 opening Reti, which is one of my favorite. And yeah, but there's only one position, I think. So, I kind of keep asking for more in that sense. But anyway, much better playable. In other words, it started to play. Two improvements I asked for. I asked for more opening repertoire. And I asked that it implement something called opening principle for chess. Can you suggest ways to implement this? Something like the top 20 chess principle. And so it did. It gives me some suggestions, and then it lists some of the, opening principles engine. So it's coded an engine with principle, and it went on to implement it. And then there's some error, so it crashed, and at some point I said, oh, all seems to be in order. In other words, the game started to play quite well. And I wanted to focus on opening versus principles. Can we discuss how we should implement? I was trying to see whether I can reason with the engine, and see whether it will reason back with me, right? Can we discuss how we should implement that part of the code? It doesn't seem to use principles at the moment. Tell me the principles. I want to decide what to implement. So it went on to tell me the kind of principles chess games are known to do. Center control, piece development, in other words, knight before bishop, develops towards the center, don't move the same piece twice, develop with the threat, don't bring the queen out too early, king safety, castle early, blah, blah, blah. That's pretty good stuff that it was listing. And so, okay, I don't want principles to be an option. I want to build it into the opening moves. So it's a way to create the engine with thinking plus opening repertoire plus principles. I need a way to select. Maybe in the first 3 moves, use opening repertoire. Then combination of thinking and principle thereafter possible. So it's kind of like reasoning with Jules. Yes, it says that's an excellent and much more powerful approach. Integrating the principles directly into the main engine is how modern chess engines work. I understand completely. So it begins to say opening phase, first 3 to 5 moves, principal search phase, move 6 to 15. I think it's a bit too much, but it uses something called the alpha beta search. I didn't know what it was, but it was something that I selected in my original prompt. Pure engine phase, in other words, after move 15, right? So I said, I approve this, let's go. So it said, great, and I'm excited to build this app. And it did. It refactored the AI logic, blah, blah, blah. And then, came for review. And I asked, can you tell me what happens when the moves are out of opening book in the first 3 to 5 moves? Once it is outside the book repertoire, I want the engine to kick in to principal search phase. I played it. Seems that it is rote learning the second and third moves. In other words, there's something wrong with the way it treated the opening repertoire. So it says, that is an excellent and very important question. You've pinpointed exactly how good chess engine should behave. Here's a chess step-by-step explanation of the current logic. On its turn, the AI first checks if the game is in the opening phase, fewer than 6 moves total. If it is, look up the opening book, which is this one. And if the position is found in the book, it plays one of the recommended moves. If the position is not found in the book, because the game has deviated, it immediately gives up on the opening book and moves to the next phase. The next phase is the principal search phase. The AI will use the hybrid engine to analyze all legal moves and pick the one that best combine strategic principles and tactical advantage. Pretty good English here, pretty complex, I would say. And that's already an amazing stage at this point. So I say, yes, please implement. Can you also double the opening book? And that's what it did. It opened and it doubled this opening book at this point, added more positions, right? I could see it added into the database. And then I said, there's some silly error AI is making, like when there's a piece to be taken, it didn't consider that, or maybe when it takes a piece, it doesn't consider that either. In other words, there's some silly take that the chess engine is allowing. Can you add a function that checks for taken to be taken pieces for consideration? And it says, fantastic observation. You found a next major area of improvement in the AI. I'm sorry. I hate this, right? It keeps saying sorry. I mean, just get a job done. Stop being so human. Capturing pieces, and so on. He added a tactical awareness, right? So I said, does it sound like a right approach? I said, yep, let's go. Perfect. And he did that. And it says review, and which is what I did. And at this point, that's the state of the game where we are. And you've already seen how we have played the game, and it actually plays pretty well. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Yeah, till the next one. This is We Take Out.